Only true dogs fucking me and Big Nate. Wow. Shoot him in the greens, toss his body in that big lake.
So with the end of Showtime boxing coming, as HBO got out just about 4 years ago, more corporates are buying into Showtime. And Showtime got bought out. BBC is now looking for a home. Amazon Prime is in negotiations, they're in talks with a lot of companies to see where they're going to take their fights. This is why you didn't see the rematch between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. They were going to fight on December the 9th in Las Vegas. Now that fight is gone to Keith Thurman, as he's doing a pay-per-view fight in Las Vegas on December the 9th against nobody.
With who?
Just nobody, just a regular guy. Just some guy they just found. And threw him in the ring. Just so because they have the date, so they're not gonna give them Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence too. Y'all just kicking us out the door. I ain't gonna give you that fight. So you ain't gonna get the rematch. You're gonna get Keith Thurman and whoever he's gonna fight. Wow. So, yeah. So that's who they replaced the card with. That's gonna be in Vegas on December the 9th. So that's the last real big pay-per-view. Then they got one fight on the 16th, and that'll be the end of Showtime boxing. But the reason they're getting out is because they got to pay like $150 million a year to license boxing. And they're like, why are we spending this money? We don't have Mayweather anymore. We don't have any of these fighters that's generating money. But Al Heyman's plan had basically backfired for the past 2-3 years because of the pandemic. That set everybody back. He put all these showcase fights on pay-per-view and made everybody pay to see these fights that you would see on regular Showtime. It's like, why is this fight on pay-per-view? And you're wondering, why is this fight here would be on a regular night on Saturday? Why is this on pay-per-view? He was doing it every month. It was like a pay-per-view, and it was ruining the market for real fights that was coming out.
The big name.
Yeah, and he was putting showcase fights on pay-per-view. He had both Charlos one night fighting on the pay-per-view. It was like, who's paying $50 to see this? They fighting two no-names, two warm-up fights. So it's this is like a regular night on Showtime. What are you doing with this? And they was like, well, when the I understand during the pandemic's over now. People are going to the fights. Why is it on pay-per-view? So that's how he was guaranteeing the fighters to get their money. Because he was saying, look, you guys gonna get a piece. It's gonna be on pay-per-view. So if the people want to see it, they gonna buy it. So that's how y'all getting y'all guarantees, y'all getting all of this. It's all coming from this back end on these pay-per-view fights. We put that on, we'll make the money back to pay them. It ain't gonna come out of Showtime's pocket. They ain't gotta spend all the money. So they start putting together the showcase fights. But when you dealing with a sport that is basically fan generated, it got hurt by the pandemic because no fans could be there. That's vendors. All of that's where they make their money from. So you need an audience for boxing. You just can't watch it from home. You need people there. That's where all the money is generated. So without those events, a lot of companies were drying up. Like Vegas was, that's why Floyd was allowed not to go to jail right away when he fought Cotto. Because they town was near bankrupt. The whole town of Las Vegas is near bankrupt. So they stopped Floyd going to jail. They said, oh, well, you supposed to go that time. We'll let you do your fight, then you go to jail. I was like, how in the hell? I'm like, dude, I'm not fighting for your town again if you're going to do that. That's why they let him back out. Because when he fights, he generates billions. Billions. People fly in, they gamble, they spend big money, celebrities coming into town, so they want to be there in the mix. Yeah, hotel rooms booked. So the whole town is generating revenue when he shows up. The casinos, everybody, when he fights. It's an event. So with all of them, now that that's gone, there's not any real big events anymore. That's why PBC just signed this deal with Canelo, because they needed to bring somebody in that could give them an event. So they got all this talent, but this manufactured talent. They spent all this money paying the Charlo brothers and promoting them because they're twins. But you haven't developed them correctly at all. And they basically are entertainers on social media, but they don't have a notable fight. in the ring. And that's where Jamal is like, man, every time you build momentum up, they knock themselves back down 3-4 pieces. And they got, you know, basic talent, but they can be beaten easily by a boxer. Like Tony Harrison had no problem really with Charlo. Like Charlo, if he wasn't so chinny, that's it. That's the only thing that stopped him, because he easily can beat Charlo. And you saw he controlled him with a jab all night long. He was controlling. Because they fight like almost like amateur style, like somebody who's first time in the ring, everything hard, you know, right? So Tony, no, they like, we seen this. He in the Crunk. He come out of the Crunk gym, so they see that first day in the gym. Those guys come right in, right away, hard, throwing it. He's like, oh yeah, this is easy. This is telegraph every punch. You know, they don't know how to look you off. No tricks. They don't know any tricks. They just know athleticism. And unfortunately,
big punch.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Al has done this to the game. He's taken former basketball players, former football players, and he has a gym that he basically try to teach people to fast track them into the boxing ring. And you had these people now, a lot of them are just gone. They were former football players that blew their knee out. Now he gave them an opportunity, and you know, I'm always happy for somebody getting an opportunity to make some money to feed their family, right? That's something, you know, but you just can't fast track boxing, and next thing you know, they're in a world title fight with Deontay Wilder. I'm like, come on, man, this dude just, like, he was playing football 3 years ago. What is he doing in the ring?
No more learning the game.
Right, it's no more.
Fast track boxing. Rushing people to title fights. And that's getting people hurt, and it's taking the notoriety out of the game and the fundamentals out of the game, because the old school coaches is being forgotten. And that's what's messing the game up now. There's no more old school coaches. We came up with old school coaches, old mans in the gym, telling us stories, teaching us boxing, telling the way they did it.
Yeah.
And that stuff kept us going. We don't have that no more. Everyone learning pad work. If someone watch a video of Floyd Mayweather or Roger Mayweather doing pad work, and watch them 50,000 times, they can learn to do it the same way, but they can't learn to teach the fighter an alternate route to do something. They're not teaching them the true definition of boxing. They teach them pad work, and pad work is not boxing. You have to learn the game, you gotta learn the art, the fundamentals of the sport, and that's what's losing in the game right now. And that's what like he said, PBC has took from boxing that fast track. And boxing's not a fast track sport. It's a learning sport. That's why boxers become trainers. If you never box, you can't train. If you never play basketball, you can't teach. You can't teach it. If you only speak Spanish, how could you teach Russian? From a book?
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't teach Russian language from a book. You gotta know the language to teach it. So that's what messing up a lot of sports these days, is a fast track of greatness, and that's what's messing the sports up. That's why PPC was in the position they in now, with no fighters.
Yeah, the game has been saturated. It's just like a lot of sports. You got a lot of strength and conditioning trainers being boxing trainers, and they just like, yeah, I was a strength and conditioning coach, now I'm a boxing trainer. And I'm like, you know, like, I love Leonard Ellerby, but I'm like, Leonard Ellerby can't teach boxing. He's a strength and conditioning coach. He been in Floyd corner for a lot, but I'm like, he's a strength and conditioning guy.
Only true dogs fucking me and Big Nate. Shoot him in the greens, toss his body in that big lake.